it's MK and I am back with Baby Got Scraps, and today I am pairing it up with Mixed Media Frenzy. For today, this is the layout that I will be scrap lifting. I absolutely love how grungy this layout is, and so while I get myself situated and organized and where to put my coffee without spilling it everywhere, I will get started in showing you guys the supplies that I will be using today. I really want to introduce you guys to a brand new product that is new to me that I found in November. So here are the photos that I'm going to be playing with today. It's just a couple photos of me visiting the mill, one of the mills. This is the brand new product I want to share with you guys. It's called Gilding Wax. It is by Dixie Belle, and the color that I chose is bronze. I also have silver, gold, and copper. I'm using two gray sprays today. One is Dilutions and the other one is Heidi Swap. The Heidi Swap one will have a little bit of sparkle to it, while the Dilutions is just a color. I also am going to be using some of my arc reactors that are brand new to me in the store. I'm super stoked about that. And I have some uber old triangle-ish arrows that I don't know where they're from, but hopefully I will get to use them up as well. These little epoxy things are from Close to My Heart. The last little bits of those, I can't wait to use them up. And then these little clips along with my film strip borders are from a friend of mine that sent me a gorgeous little envelope packet full of awesome little embellishments for my birthday. So thank you so much, Susan. I really, really appreciate all these little gifties and things, and I've been using them up little bit by little bit because there's just so much stuff in that little pouch. All right, the scraps that I chose today are a craft piece. I believe it's by My Mind's Eye, the Fanfare collection when they did an entire craft cardstock collection. I also have this My Mind's Eye honeycomb. I can't remember what, the Sweetest Day or the Sweetest Thing, something like that collection, a Kreiser Craft circuitry board paper, and then the mini glitches by Tim Holtz. I also have Glitch 1 and Glitch 2, which are the full-size versions of these images as well. But I figured the mini ones are what is going to be more prominent in this layout. I almost forgot a background piece because you can't have mixed media without having the paper to do it on. So I picked out Marshmallow Basil, and of course when I showed it to you guys it was upside down. I apologize about that. But I absolutely love the Marshmallow Basil cardstock for the mixed media, not necessarily for anything else. So I keep it in with, just my mixed media cardstock, as opposed to like the cardstock that I would use for my cut files. That is totally different. If you want to get technical. All right, so what I wanted to do, first I went ahead and matted my photos on a very, very thin mat of black cardstock. And then I'm going to take this honeycomb paper and trim it out so that way it kind of is like the base for my photos as well as the starting point for my mixed media. Then I'm going to take this ruler paper and go ahead and cut off a few of the rulers, and then I'll end up using the rest of it behind the photos. I'm just trying to build up a border so that way I can kind of sort of follow the sketch. I've already not followed it by using paper instead of sprays for the base of my photo mats, or where my photos are going to go. But eventually you'll see, the layout come together as soon as I start adding the mixed media. I just don't like how my sprays spray when I do it directly on the paper. I'd rather splatter directly than spray directly. And I've never liked how they do that. Kudos to the person that created this layout, because that definitely is something that looks really good and appealing for their layout, but I've never been able to do that. All right, so what I want to do is I want to cut out a portion of this honeycomb, because I just want it to be behind my photos. I didn't want that big old huge block of honeycomb in Nowheresville. And so I took my pencil and just kind of made dots and dashes of where I wanted to, like a path for me to follow. So I knew where my photos need to be and where I could cut out this extra piece of honeycomb. So that way it is now, so now the honeycombs are just behind my photos, which is exactly where I wanted them. All right, next up, I'm going to pick out which stamps I want to use. Now, I have never used these stamps before. until right now. So it's okay. Yeah, sometimes it takes me a while before I get to using brand new stamps, but eventually I do get to them. I went ahead and roughly dotted where, where all of my elements are going to be, because I don't really want to waste the time to stamp in areas that aren't going to be seen. And the reasoning behind that is because normally when it's not going to be seen, that's my best stamping. Yep, truth be told, that's what it is. And so I am making sure that I'm going to stamp all the way around where my honeycomb is supposed to be in my photos, as well as up along the border, because I kind of sort of want that grungy look around the border. Now, instead of me using the sprays to spray out my pattern, I'm using the honeycomb and the stamps to get that mixed media patterny look behind my photo. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and rub this brand new gilding wax on my reactors, so that way they have like a shine to them, but it's not so shiny that it takes away from all of that detail that is on there. Then I'm going to take my finger and rub this gilding wax all over my layout, and it is going to give me that dirty, yucky, musty look to it, but then still also give me a little bit of shine because it's in that bronze color. But I chose the bronze because it is that dirty brown color as well. And then I'm going to go around the outside of my cardstock to try and rough up, or not rough up, distress the edges, just like in the sketch. So once I am done with all of that and happy with the way that it looks, but I didn't want it to be too dark, I went ahead and took my dilution spray and I'm splattering it all over the place. You know, that way I can say that I used some spray. Yep, truth be told. Then I decided that my honeycomb was a little bit too cheery for me, if that's a thing. And so I'm going to take, again, this gilding wax and just rub my finger along the edges all the way around. And it's going to give it that nice, it's like a dull shine. If that makes any sense at all, if I can even have a dull shine, that's exactly what I'm going to get out of here. So it's not like bright and shiny and sparkly and in your face. It is shiny like metal, but it's almost like it's dirty, grungy metal. And it is just so up my alley. I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. I had to have it. And it is super cool because it's not sparkly, I guess is the word I'm trying to find. All right, last thing I'm going to do to the background piece is go ahead and add my Heidi swap. So now I gave it a little bit of shine, but not a whole lot. I do have that metallic feel going on because of this bronze Rub and Buff, I think Rub and Buff is actually a name brand. So this is gilding wax. So instead of gilding flakes, I have it now in a wax form, and it just glides over, and I like to use my finger like I would the Rub and Buff. All right, going to ink the edges of my rulers just so that way they look a little bit more uniform in case my cutting is not perfect, which it normally is not. I also am going to put the rest of these ruler pieces behind my photos just to give them a little bit more dimension and layering. It's not necessary. I didn't really need to do this, but because I wanted to use up all my scraps, I went ahead and thought that, hey, this is perfect. I'm going to do this. So also going ahead and, cutting off more than what I need, but I wanted to make sure that if it was in the ruler form, then I could probably put the rulers in my embellishments and treat them as such instead of just scrap paper. So, and then I'm going to decide where on my circuit board does it show up the best. Like, where can I tell that it is still a circuit board? Because I absolutely love this paper, but I can't make it too big because then it takes away from the background that I've already created for my photos. So I'm going to make sure that everything kind of stays nice and tight around the photo, but yet still give me the look that I'm going for, or I should say the feel that I'm going for, because I wanted people to still see that this is maybe a circuit board behind it. You know, like maybe if somebody lifted up the panel, they would see all this circuitry. know, I'm such a dork. Anyways, going to make sure that all of those edges are inked as well, just to add a little bit more to the grunge look that I'm going for. I did want to brighten up this layout a little bit because of the fact that my photos they're not really dark and dingy. I definitely have photos that could have been dark and dingy, but because this was not, I really wanted to go a different route with these photos. Now, putting all these photos together and seeing how much room I had for a border, I realized I wasn't going to need as many film strips as what I picked out originally. So I went ahead and I just cut one and made it look like it went all the way across the photo down at the bottom. And then I also took some of my honeycomb pieces. Instead of having a solid border go all the way around, I'm going to have a broken honeycomb border going all the way across in that upper right hand corner. And so I'm just taking the little bits and pieces that I trimmed off so that way I could throw away anything that did not make a full size honeycomb. I'm going to go ahead and throw all those away, but keep the really cool pieces like what is on the right hand side of my elbow. I'm going to keep all those pieces for later, not this layout, but later, so that way I can get another use out of them. I just didn't keep any non-full honeycombs, I guess I should say. Now for the arc reactors, I'm going to go ahead and tuck one underneath my photo, and then I debated whether or not I was going to pop that photo up, and I decided against it because I really wanted one of the arc reactors to cover up the electrical panel that is in both of my photos. So I used one photo to cover up one of the panels, and now I'm using the arc reactor to cover up the other panel, which I really I like doing that kind of thing, is using my embellishments to cover up the ugly portions of my photos that I don't want seen. Not that these photos aren't ugly altogether, but they're kind of fun because I learned more about this ball mill than I have ever known. Now, the significance of the honeycomb is because if you were to go into this ball mill, which yes, you have to, they do I think it's every year they do a cycle cleaning of it, and they totally disassemble it and everything, and inside it are honeycombs, and it processes it. It's basically a huge grinder that grinds up the dirt to get to the gold, and through the cycle it filters larger chunks of dirt through honeycombs. And if the dirt is too large, it won't go through the honeycomb. But as it is turning and spinning and doing its really cool thing, the smaller dirt gets sifted and the honeycomb gets smaller and smaller until it is down to powder. And then they can cipher out the gold from this. So anyways, that is the significance of the honeycomb and why I wanted to put it in the layout itself. Now I went ahead and rubbed on this gilding wax on all of my little arrow triangle pieces. I went ahead and I did all of that just so that way they weren't all wood looking and they kind of gave, again, a more metallic look. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add up these little arrows, these epoxy arrows by Close to My Heart. And what I'm trying to do is in the layout, there are little dots scattered all over, and I thought the arrows would be a great representation of that because they kind of look like, you know, the pokey bits on the cylinder part of the mill. So anyways, sometimes I just don't know what I'm even talking about. So that is my layout for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out everyone else that is playing along with Baby Got Scraps, as well as Mixed Media Frenzy. It might not be the same list, but then again, it might be the same list. I do not know. I didn't double check either. Weird. Anyways, thank you again for watching, and I will check you all later. And yeah, thanks.